This is a Pubcast Shot. I'm John Loomer. It's time to revisit creative testing. Let's go. So this is a topic I've been thinking about a lot lately. And honestly, I've been struggling with how we test creative for much of the past couple of years. But I couldn't put my finger on what it was that bothered me so much. Now, I know that I disagree with the focus advertisers put on creative testing these days, and I know that I don't do many of the things that other advertisers do. It's felt like a waste of time and resources. And I think I'm finally able to clearly articulate why. I've been doing this for a really long time, and I admit that's not always an advantage. It can be a disadvantage when you're stuck in your ways or you resist the rapid changes. And look, there is a get off my lawn element that I've had to work hard to avoid. But the advantage is perspective. So not only have I seen so much over the past 14 plus years, but I've also done it. And most importantly, I've documented it. So I've referred back to my blog so many times to confirm when something has changed or what things used to look like. And how we treated ad creative is a big one. So understand that things were so much simpler back in the day. And so I went back, my old blog posts to confirm all this and the screenshots and everything. It's crazy. Prior to 2017, one ad was a very basic construction. It consisted of one image or video, one primary text, one headline, and one description. And we couldn't even customize by placement yet. And in fact, you may not even realize just how simple the placements once were. So going back to like 2013 or 14, it was just Facebook desktop, mobile, and right column. That's it. Each ad was a single combination of ad copy and creative. One combination. So you can imagine that creative testing back then was simply creating multiple ads to see what worked. And you could actually isolate the best performing combination back then. But things started to change at the end of 2017. Now by then, there were 12 placements. And Facebook introduced dynamic creative, which allowed us to provide up to 10 images or videos, 5 primary text, 5 headlines, and 5 descriptions for a single ad. That changed a lot. And dynamic creative, when you think about it, really was the precursor of today's ad creation, because much of that has been adopted in some way. Now, finally, in 2019, so we're still 6 years ago, we were able to customize creative by placement. We couldn't do it until then. If you wanted to create different creative by placement, you had to create a separate ad set and ad to do that. So things were already much different then, since one ad could have many different variations. And now, look at where we are today with creative. There are 26 different placements. And we can customize both text and creative for all of them. And actually, Meta asked us to submit 3 different aspect ratios. But we could actually fine-tune it even more if we wanted to. And now, the 5 primary text and 5 headlines are baked into normal ad creation. And in fact, you can even add up to an additional 5 AI-generated primary text and headlines. So think about this. In the past, there was just one possible combination of ad copy and creative for a single ad. But now, with all the different variables, there are so many more. If you turn on Advantage Plus creative enhancements and things like site links, that customizes copy and creative even more. And you can also accept AI-generated images and background options. The amount of customization to create new variations is insane. So instead of having one possible combination of ad copy and creative, it could easily be many hundreds or even many thousands of combinations. So do you see where I'm going with this? It made sense back then to optimize your ads by finding the highest performing combination of ad copy and creative. But now, that's truly an impossible task. It's not only impossible, but it's unnecessary. Ads work differently now. A different version of your ad will appear for different people based on several factors. So, based on the placement, their device, how they consume content, or what Meta thinks they're most likely to respond to. So, not only are many combinations necessary to get the best results, but the best ads will have many high-performing combinations of ad copy and creative. So here's a simple example that might help you understand why you don't need to isolate the best combination and then toss out the others. People consume content completely differently on Instagram Reels than they do on Facebook desktop right column, for example. So hopefully you have a 9:16 video on Reels and it's probably a square static image on right column. You're going to get completely different engagement and results from both. And you'll probably get way more engagement from the video on Reels. But does that mean that the video version is better and is the quote-unquote winner? Does that mean you should remove the static version that you use in right column and may use in other placements? Of course not. A Reels version will not work in right column. But you have a version that will give you the best chance for results there. So now consider the different ways that people consume content across all 26 placements. And consider that every person consumes content differently and responds differently based on the type of media and text. The many combinations are necessary. There can't just be one. That doesn't mean that you don't need to know what works. You should still monitor which videos work best, which images work best, which primary text and headlines work best, and you can apply what you learn to your next batch of ads. But the days of going with one variation to optimize your ads and discarding the rest are over. So here's the bottom of the glass. I encourage you to question whether your method of creative testing is still necessary or helpful. If you're creating separate campaigns or ad sets for this, why? What is it you're trying to accomplish? And also consider that this can be counterproductive. Auction overlap is a real thing, and you can make your results worse. There's also no guarantee that the results you get from a test will be the same as the results you get when you move those ads over. So my preference is to keep this simple. I don't run separate campaigns for testing. When I create a new campaign, I put all the ads in it that I'm going to need at that time. If the results are good, I don't touch anything. If results could be better, I think about what different angles I could use for new ads. And, I know this is blasphemous to some advertisers, I add those new ads to the existing campaign and ad set. It will restart learning. I don't care. And in some cases, that may actually be good. So whether you take this liberal approach to ad copy and creative is up to you. But the main thing is that you should understand this very important point. The success of your ads isn't based on finding the best combination of ad copy and creative. You will need many high-performing combinations of copy and creative to get good results. For more on the evolution of copy and creative control, check out my recent blog post at johnloomer.com/control. Thanks again so much for joining me on the Pubcast. I really do appreciate it. And if you're a regular or you want to become a regular, there are a couple things you can do. So first up, no matter where you are, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on my website, somewhere else, make sure that you subscribe, rate, and review. This, more than anything else, will help me grow, and I truly appreciate it. Second, subscribe to podcast alerts. When you do, I will notify you every time I've published a new episode. It will include a brief explanation, a brief summary of what was discussed, and a link to my website where that podcast and transcript are embedded. To subscribe, go to johnloomer.com/podcast. Either way, I appreciate you. Thanks so much again for joining me. Until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.